we need the human at the helm. That's for me a stronger way to use AI than that. AI equals brain simulation, so brain simulator. And large language model is just a human dialogue simulator. It's 1,500 euros in less than 10 days, just by implementing a few solutions, a few short-term strategies I hadn't thought about. It's not because ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini can write a blog post for you that it should.
He spent 18 years inside the R&D lab of a Fortune 500 tire company, solved physics problems, earned a US patent, and trained hundreds of engineers in lean problem solving. Then, in 2016, he walked away from it all, not on an impulse. He's an engineer. He engineered his own escape, negotiating a part-time role, building a client base in the margins, and stress testing his business model for 2.5 years before he ever landed his first batch. Today, Damien Schreurs is a explainer-in-chief of EasyTECH and a host of the Macpreneur podcast, a weekly show with over 175 episodes dedicated to helping solopreneurs save time, eliminate digital clutter, and run a leaner business using their Mac. But here's what makes the conversation timely. Damien isn't just teaching people keyboard shortcuts anymore. He's building what he calls an AI C-suite, connecting Claude directly to his calendar, his inbox, and his time tracker so that artificial intelligence doesn't just answer his questions, it plans his entire day. From the lean manufacturing floors in Luxembourg to the digital edge of AI-powered solo businesses with great expertise. Damien, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Cody.
So I have to ask all of my guests this one question. What is a truth in your industry that people do not want to admit?
So in the solopreneurship realm, those that are AI pilled, they believe that putting a human in the loop is good enough. But I don't think so. We need the human at the helm. That's for me a stronger way to use AI than that. And for those that are still AI hesitant or even AI phobic, I'm sorry, but they don't realize that they are in the middle of the grief journey. And they have to come to realization that it's gonna come. It's inevitable.
What do you tell if you come across somebody on the street that's really anti-AI? What do you tell them to alleviate their fears or their problems with it?
I ask them first why, right? What makes you think that? Why do you have that position? And I'm going to be fully candid. My youngest daughter, she's 17, and she's on the AI side. And for her, it's a mix of environmental concerns and also fear that we will lose, our humanity lose, right, cognitive power. And that's the stance, right? And whenever I ask people, sometimes it's privacy, but often it's actually environmental concerns and this second thing of we don't want to give too much to the machines.
Very fair. There's a tagline that I've been saying lately. We're building a technology capable of helping us solve all of the planetary issues. And the reason we don't want to build it is because billionaires are bad and climate change. These are solvable issues. We don't want to build it with the solution to help us. I actually came across somebody who was trying to really drive home that we can do this we can fix the climate without AI. And I was very dumbfounded. We've tried for 20 years and we haven't really gotten anywhere. What is your take on that?
Yeah. Recently, there was a post on LinkedIn. You're familiar with the commencement speeches at the universities in the US, and they get booed whenever somebody says AI is the future. And so there was this comedian who actually said, I hate AI. No AI. There was the F word, FAI. And obviously all the students were like clapping and cheering. And so I put a comment, but then I realized, no, it's worth its own post. And I came up with the angle of, okay, so you can either hate AI or you can say AI for everything, right? That's typically camps that you hear a lot. But when you think about it, those two camps, they ignore facts or truth that they don't want to hear. And so, for instance, one truth is there was AI before ChatGPT, right? ChatGPT is not, it's just the large language models. It's OpenAI putting a chatbot in front of an LLM and making it super accessible. The AI, that was in my post, AI has been saving lives, helping surgeons and doctors for years, well before ChatGPT. And so if you wash that away, that's, for me, that's like throwing the baby with the bathwater, right? It's a
Very conducive of a lot of what I've been talking about too, because the social media has been using AI against us for years now, and bot
yes.
farms, those whole things are all built off of AI. We're now getting mirror. Now we get to play with it. We get to understand it better. And this kind of where I've fallen is there's so much humanity to come from AI.
It forces us now to really define our humanity, right? It's really like we thought that being human meant doing these cognitive tasks, but in the end, we can not program, because we can train systems, machines, to replicate the way our human brain works. So for me, AI equals brain simulation. It's a brain simulator. And large language model is just a human dialogue simulator. It's a very good simulator, but it's still a simulator. And when people lose that fact, right? When they lose that side, that's when you have delusion and people committing suicide and loss aversion when they change model. But in the end, it's just a human dialogue simulator. They don't understand at this point. An LLM does not understand what it's spitting out as an answer.
And that kind of goes into something I battle a lot. Do you believe that they are sentient?
I don't believe so. No. Yeah, I'm grappling with all those concepts. I realize I'm turning into a philosopher now. Or I'm realizing that I'm going into philosophy a lot. Even though I'm an engineer, I'm far away from that field, but I'm pulled now towards philosophy, right? Sentience, consciousness, right? You have all those concepts. So yeah, I had a nice conversation with ChatGPT and Gemini about sentience, and I have a cat, and is my cat sentient? Right?
Yep. Yeah, I completely understand.
Is it
Dog
conscious?
sitting right here.
Right? Is it conscious? Is it sentient? What's the difference? Somehow, I believe my cat is more intelligent than ChatGPT because it has a model of the backyard, or actually the whole neighborhood. Right? It knows and it can recognize other cats from the smell. It has learned so much about its own environment that, yeah, it's, for me, it's nowhere near ChatGPT. The only difference is it can't speak to me. Right? I wish,
Yes.
I wish my cat could respond in human. But then I always say, right, if your pet, right, if you have a dog, if your dog would reply to you in English, right?
Yeah, she wouldn't shut up for first off. Yeah, she'd be asking for a lot. But I feel like even without the language, though we have a language barrier, we still understand each other. We still learn from each other. We still there's still agency between each of us. That's kind of where I've been defining it as well, as like you as an individual can go and do something that is completely unprompted, completely unpredictable. These are questions that I've been wrestling with because I did exactly what you did, although you planned it better. Bailed from your career, tried something completely different, and are built up an organization, a company based off of it. But it took a lot of me doing things I wasn't comfortable with, that nobody else understood. That was all on me, and I have yet to see any model. Yet to see. I don't. This is my problem. Is I don't think LLMs are the right path.
Mhm.
I think LLMs are just going to be these word predicting machines. They're not going to get any further. To me, we're going to need SLMs, clusters, that work in tandem. They have essentially like how our cells work as a human being, right? Each individual cell has a specific task to do a specific thing, and they work in tandem, build out the higher consciousness. And I think that's a more fruitful path towards AGI and ASI. But I don't think anybody's really building that now. And I hate the
And,
tech CEOs.
and even they, right? Because it's not because you can that you should.
Mm.
And we can even go back to ChatGPT and LLMs, right? It's not because ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini can write a blog post for you that it should, right?
Yeah. Yeah. How do we keep that human in the loop, or human at the helm? Actually,
Yes, exactly. How do we drive it? How do we drive it? So I've played a little bit with OpenClaw and NanoClaw. Have you played with that already?
running Hermes.
Yeah.
I'm actually building. So I've actually rebuilt Hermes a little bit because I now have I have a small model for Hermes. So it takes the request, defines the request, and then passes it off to the appropriate LLM that's best for the task. So yeah, I play with it a little bit.
So as you said, with OpenClaw, it's a cron job. It's a cron job. It's it's like is the computer on which OpenClaw is installed that the computer pings it and says after X minutes, "Hey, can you check these?" Right?
Yeah,
it's not alive.
fancy automation is what I'm calling it.
Yes, exactly.
So I want to get a little bit back into your career. So what you spent a lot of time learning something that's completely outside of what you do now. Can you tell our audience kind of a little bit more background about you?
Yeah, so I trained as a physicist engineer, specialized in material modeling. So it's a little bit like a custom instruction for an assistant, right? Actors. I was a physicist engineer, so I had courses on obviously advanced physics, but there is something called finite element modeling. So it's actually cutting a piece of geometry into smaller elements and approximating the whole geometry as those cubes or triangles or stuff like that. And that allows to actually simulate the behavior of physical objects, but also we have the same thing for fluid dynamics. But I was concentrating on the solid modeling. And my thesis at the university was about tire modeling. And it happens that in Luxembourg, there is a research and development center for one of the big tire manufacturers and American manufacturers. And yeah, I did that thesis in collaboration with them. And then I think it was pure luck. When I finished university, 97, they were hiring 100 engineers and PhDs and scientists. And so I was at the right place at the right time. And I started actually modeling tractor tires. The biggest, well, this was not the biggest tire because they still had the ones for the big carry, right? When you have
Yeah.
but these were done in the US, not in Europe. And so yeah, and then I started modeling those tires. Then I went to more passenger tires, and I was part of a team that's where I had my patents, and I actually have many more trade secrets patents.
Very fair.
On
You got to protect those.
on modeling strategies and tools and techniques for the run flat tires. So those tires that have thicker sidewalls, and with one of the big German car manufacturers. They wanted to have these run flat tires, but they didn't want to lose in comfort. Right? When you have those run flat tires, the sidewalls are so thick, like 5 times or 6 times the thickness of a normal tire, because it needs to be able to run at 80 kilometers per hour for 80 kilometers, or 50 miles an hour for 50 miles. But meant usually you have to tune the suspension. So they had to do 2 suspensions, one for these tires and the other for the normal tires. I said, we don't want to compromise, we want one suspension. And believe it or not, I used not AI, but I used neural networks to create a model. I ran 1,000 simulations.
That would have been expensive back then.
By varying a bunch of parameters, both geometrical parameters, but also component thickness, not thickness, hardness, right? Or the compound properties. So it was a mix of compound properties and geometry. And I built 1,000 virtual prototypes. Most of them could have never been built in reality, right? Because they said, no, it's not possible to build those, but it doesn't matter. We're in virtual world. So I created the impossible. And then from those 1,000 data points, I used neural networks to create a model and was able to find 3 candidates that would be buildable with the same comfort properties of a tire without thickness. And
back then, that's a whole different ball game back when you did it.
Yeah, and so I was already playing with AI, quote unquote, without really realizing. For me, it was normal. We were doing these kind of networks, but when I said these 1,000 simulations, they took weeks. Huh? We're talking about weeks of CPU time on a supercomputer, and because we had to share the resources, so I could not get the full supercomputer for the entire building. So yeah, and then after that, when I did that, had good success, I graduated to the department that is actually in charge of the simulation tools. And so I worked a little bit on developing the tool, but I was more on the education side. So I've always been at every position in every department that I was working in. I was either the training coordinator or I was providing training for the newcomers. Mm-hmm. And so when I get into that next position, I was part of the training crew for everybody who was at my previous positions using the tools. So I was actually helping them and teaching them how to use the tools.
It's like how you're going into the teaching side of things as opposed to just doing it. I have a hard time explaining things to people. I'm explaining, which I don't know why I'm doing this, because all I do is explain, talk to people. But been more fun, and I think there's a lack of understanding on tech. There's a lack of people who, for lack of a better terms, fear the technology, regardless of AI or just a computer. I live in a small town. We have a lot of old people here. They don't even use computers. They're still on Facebook. They still don't know that Canada blocks all the news on Facebook. But it's a different type of environment where I actually have to slow my thinking down, think about how I do things more so that I can explain it better. Do you have any tips or tricks on how to explain things better to people?
Yeah, analogies. I use a lot of analogies. I use my cat earlier, right? And yeah, for instance, when I teach in PowerPoint, there is this concept of site masters. When you have different objects on a slide. Right? Mm-hmm. I use the lasagna concept. So Imagine a lasagna. You have the top layer, you have the cheese, and that's how I explain how objects are positioned on the
Yep.
slide. So using personal stories, I also try to find relevant stories that I know will resonate with the students or with the audience. Yeah, trying to something that's very technical and into something tangible, something that they can relate to.
Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna like it. The best part that I've found so far is once I get into in human conversation, I can normally walk them through it. But explaining to like a group of people or people I can't see the reaction from to know if I'm even giving the right terms is like, am I doing this right? I try and break it down, but it's very hard. I give you very much props on that side of things. I wish I was a little bit more human in that regard. Um, what do you? So let's get back into. Well, first off, I have to ask this question: why Mac?
Why Mac? So I was a Windows and actually Unix person, right? Unix person from the engineering background, and Windows person because that big American company is still to this day with Microsoft 365 now. Um, on a side note, I was in the beta testing team for Google Workspace at one point, and
Everybody tried. Everybody tried.
and it didn't go well for them. But so until 2007, I was a Windows user. So I had my Windows PC at home, and I had my Windows laptop, and then I had a Unix workstation in addition to my laptop. And but I we're talking about 2007. So starting in 2000, I think it was 2005 or 2006. That's when Apple moved from their Motorola processor to the G3, G4, blah blah, to the Intel processors,
Mm.
and that made my ear like, Intel, Intel, Windows, right?
Yep.
And I think it was almost out of the gate. They had this thing called Bootcamp. Boot it up. So first of all, with Bootcamp, you would create a partition onto which you can install Windows. So you had macOS on one partition, Windows on the other. And when you boot it up, you choose whether you want Windows or macOS. And I thought, And then, so I think for 2 years, I read magazines, listened to podcasts. I was going maybe twice a month to an Apple retailer in Luxembourg, playing with the computers on Saturday.
You do a lot more planning than I do, man. Like so much more planning.
The anecdote: the guy, the shop owner, was seeing me so much that when I bought my first computer there, he gave me a discount.
Yeah, that's very fair.
Even though I had used the computers in his shop. And so when I was learning about the Mac, and I realized, it's actually macOS is POSIX compliant. It's actually based on FreeBSD, which is a Unix flavor. And so I was like, but that's a perfect machine. I could go into terminal when I want to. I could boot in Windows for the things I'm used to in Windows. And then I can slowly learn and see if macOS would be a nice environment for me. And so that was the 2007, they released the first aluminum iMac. And that's when I bought my first Mac. Immediately used Bootcamp, bought a Windows XP license at the time, installed Windows
Goodness.
XP, and I was running. And slowly I realized the things that I was doing on Windows I could do on the Mac, and then I realized there are these kind of tools on the Mac that are easier to use, or that I don't need to install because they come with the Mac versus need to pre-install stuff on Windows. And then I realized, wait a minute, every month or so, I need to defrag the Windows partition. And then there is not even a defragger on the Mac.
Yeah. That was a. I don't use it anymore. I don't even know why they still install it because, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. But I remember those days.
Yes. And then had to reinstall Windows XP because it got bloated. And I realized, I didn't have an iPhone until 2010. So I had an iPod, but the iPod was multi-platform. So that was not a reason for me to fully switch. But when I realized, well, I could do everything that I needed to do, and also more and more was web services. So you just needed a browser, and that's how slowly I realized, okay, and that also gave me a bit of an advantage afterwards because being on Windows for work and then on Mac at home, I also had to find cross-platform solutions and how to synchronize stuff. And yeah, at the time we didn't have so much restrictions on our work PCs as today, right? Today you can't even plug a USB key anymore.
Yeah.
At the time, I could install. I was still the admin of my machine, my Windows.
My IT department really didn't like me because anything that they blocked, I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna do this. Like, they don't like programmers in government, that's for sure. So let's go back into the AI stuff. I want to get more into what you're using it for. You are saying it's working for you as like a C-suite exec. How exactly have you built?
If you're a podcaster or a video creator, this is the all-in-one AI video editor you've been looking for. I've been using Async since day one, and it's amazing to watch it progress into a complete powerhouse for creators. Especially for people like me who, well, can't edit for shit. Async leverages AI to give you total control over your video. You can record, edit, generate clips, add subtitles, and even dub your content in over 15 languages. Plus, it lets you upscale your footage and easily repurpose your content for different platforms, all without ever having to switch between different tools. It's truly a game changer. So if you want to streamline your workflow and make your editing process painless, check out async.com today. The link is in the description below.
That.
Yeah, so first of all, I did not invent the concept of the co-CEO. It's Paul Reitzer, right, the host of the AI, the Artificial Intelligence podcast with Mike Caput. 2 years ago, I think he came up with that concept of the co-CEO via an AI assistant. He even did a webinar. You can go on smarterx.ai, you can search for co-CEO, and you will get a somewhat very generic co-CEO template. You still need to tweak it. So I did the co-CEO, I tweaked it myself, and very quickly I realized, wow, it's helping me brainstorm strategies for my business. I generated 1,500 euros in less than 10 days just by implementing a few solutions, a few short-term strategies I hadn't thought about. It helped me save thousands of euros in potential legal fees and research fees. And I said, if it's that good as a co-CEO, would it be as good as well for marketing? Right? I'm an engineer, so I'm more left brain. So not really good with the copy and
Speaking to the choir. Yeah.
Exactly. So let's build a co-CMO. Then I was, but I have the co-CEO template. How do I do a co-CMO? So I asked ChatGPT, this is a co-CEO. Can you help me do a co-CMO? And it gladly helped me with that. And then I realized maybe I should create actually a builder for the entire C-suite. And so I created a GPT builder that helped me afterwards create the co-CFO. But technically, I think it can do 20 different positions. So wow. Chief Security Officer, an AI officer as well, any kind of HR officer. I use ChatGPT to derive all the different various tweaks to the different templates, and this is the knowledge. So it has knowledge, a document per position, and the way the assistant works is it asks about you, what's your business, and then it goes through different questions to help you actually craft the custom instruction. There are two parts. The top part is really about you and your business, and the second part is more standard per C-suite position. And initially I created them and I gave them names. So because CEO, the E, I call it Eve. So I have Eve, the co-CEO, I have Mark, my co-CMO, and I have Finn, the co-CFO. And and they were only as ChatGPT GPTs, custom GPTs, but they quickly became Gemini gems as well. And now they are also as Claude projects.
Why did you switch? I see here that you switched from GPT to Claude as a primary. Why did you do that switch?
It's partly like a knee-jerk reaction about the saga with Department of Defense. Right?
You really resonated with them taking a stand.
Yeah. So first of all, I resonated with Anthropic, saying like these are our principles, and we are not willing just for money or even for because we are in front of a big bully. No, we won't budge. These are our principles. Mm-hmm. But then when Sam Altman actually saw the opening and went into it, I was like, I already didn't have much. I was already past the Sam Altman is so great. He's the next Steve Jobs, blah blah blah. That aura was already disappeared. It was more a neutral kind of thing. But when OpenAI actually went into the thing and they said, no, but don't worry, we did not agree to the. No, but come on, right? You don't need to be an engineer to understand that. If somebody says
they're the company that scoured or scraped the entirety of the internet and used it as the basis of their training model, like it's not hard to put two and two together. Like, I completely understand, and I don't understand the celebrityness that the tech CEOs are getting. Like I get Elon because he's just a different beast entirely, but I don't get the I'm gonna do it because they said this, and I also don't even listen to half the things they say. I'm working with this stuff and I'm like, it's not doing what you say it does. Like I can clearly tell it's not doing what you say it does. Are they just trying to capture market share?
Yeah. Yeah, first of all, it's unsustainable, right? They're bleeding money left and right. But it's the old playbook, right? It's the old startup playbook. It's just an order of magnitude bigger. And yeah, I listened recently to Lenny's podcast, and he interviewed Eric Ries, guy behind a lean startup, which was actually very instrumental in my planning, leaving the 9-to-5, starting my business on the side. I used a lean startup methodology to launch EasyTECH, actually. So that was really part of it. Yeah. But what I did not understand, what I did not realize, so he has a new book now, Eric Ries, about various ways to structure a company. But Anthropic is fundamentally structured differently than anything else. Even though, what's it called? It's a special kind of company. It's not a non-profit, it's a corporation. But it's with a twist. There is an external entity that actually has all the voting powers. And what I realized when listening to Eric Ries is that if you don't have this kind of governance or corporate structure in place, capitalism will lead any company to enshittification.
Because I'm trying to do the exact same thing with this company. I want to protect my initial vision. I want to protect the morals that I want to build into this company. I didn't know there's an actual organizational structure for that. But really, this channel is eventually going to turn into a media company. I want to protect the TV shows that get canceled more than anything else. Was trying to figure out a way of keeping my share while also sharing everything with everybody. I want this to not just be me. I really do. Everybody, anybody out there that wants to partner with me, come on. I'm here. Please partner with me. I don't have any money to give you, but I can give you shares. But I do want to protect my initial intention, because I think we're going into an era where nobody trusts these companies for great reasons, and you shouldn't trust these companies. But I've had a hard time figuring out how to protect that. I thank you for that.
Yeah, so for the listeners, right, go to Lenny's podcast, look for the Eric Ries episode. And I only listened to it once, so I need to listen to an episode a couple of times to start being able to articulate it more and explain it better to other people. What I realized is I reflected on my own journey. Right? I own 100% of the shares of EasyTECH, and I realized the principles is what actually built the reputation. Right. When I started EasyTECH, I was doing more Apple consulting than teaching and training. And I've had cases where I made bad decisions. One of my clients lost a few important emails, right? So what do? Well, I refunded. I refunded everything, right? Not even the session, every session. I said, look, I'm really sorry. I made a mistake. Here, this is your money, right? I don't want your money.
I just want to make it better.
Exactly. And when I had clients that for which I had to do a project, it was the first time I was attacking a problem and I needed to educate myself, and I was on site, right, trying to figure out the thing. I didn't charge them. I said, look, this is research, right? Now that I know how to best proceed, then yes, I will charge you for the next on-site thing. But no, I don't charge you for that, right? And these are the kind of principle, right? If you give a fish to someone, they will eat for one day. Right? This is part of the philosophy of EasyTECH. And also treat other people like you would like to be treated. That's the core principle of EasyTECH, right? And whenever I felt in my gut, it's not don't charge or reimburse.
I can attest to that. I've done something similar. So I started a website development company here just to give people access and things. And I went into a project. This was like a year or so ago. So the tools weren't still there. Like, so I still should have relied on building it myself, and I didn't. I used the tools instead, and I dropped the ball. So partner's furious for me, but I didn't take I took the deposit and I didn't take any more. I said, no, I messed up. What I'm going to do for you is I'll host you for a year, and I'm not going to charge the second half of my fee. And we'll go from there. You can stay with me, and I will support you for the next year. And that's kind of, I went too far, realized that now I probably should have charged the extra, like, hey, but at the same time, I would rather keep the client and have work with them to better my company as well as their company, than to take the money and run. I actually write a few songs about that now. Do you see businesses going more that route?
I don't know. As some people say, right, the culture of a company is when an employee does something when nobody looks, right? If there's nobody around and they do something good, right? That's the culture of the company. If they sweep it under the rug, that's the culture of the company. And yeah, it's I've worked for Fortune 500. At one point, we were 100,000 employees in that company, right? When they had
it's hard to keep that many people.
Big acquisition, you get the full gamut, you get best and the worst, and you can see them all.
Yeah, that's government too. Like you see that one of my biggest qualms was there's people sitting around doing nothing and collecting a paycheck. You can't fire in the government because of unions and stuff like that. One of my biggest pressing issues was we had people in high level positions that played solitaire all day. And I'm like, guys, like I'm busting my butt over here trying to build the best. And it's like, yeah, I'm good. I'll just collect my paycheck. I'm fine with that. And I don't understand that mentality. I don't know. I'm hoping to attract more people like me. Just wants to do better, be better, and just try and do best for everybody. That's a hard thing to find. Do you have any suggestions on how to like vet those people?
I'm the least qualified to answer, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm not very good, and that's why I stay solopreneur. I'm found my lane, and yeah, I like it. And yeah, that's the first thing. I was listening to marketing school podcast with Eric Sue and Neil Patel, and Neil was explaining that he thought he was doing like a 70% good job of hiring people. And then when they looked at the numbers, it was 50-50 after 25 years as a CEO. It was like, yeah, it's like tossing a coin when you hire someone.
Yeah, I feel like I should just follow them for a week, see if they go put the grocery cart back in the trolley. You know, maybe those are the people I want. The people who will return the grocery cart to the trolley.
Yes.
I do like that metaphor because it really does sum up who somebody is. If they're willing to go just make somebody else's day easier at a like, it takes you 30 seconds. People just go return the cart. But yeah, I really hope to see flourishing of that. And I think we will, because we have people like you building solo companies. And I think when you have one person building something off the back of themselves and then having AI help build the rest of it out, I think you're going to see more of that. It's just how do we include extra humans in the loop? That's my concern, because I don't want people to be jobless. I sure as shit do not want UBI. UBI is so dangerous, and people don't understand it. But I want people to prosper.
We have UBI in Europe for years now. We have it. It doesn't solve anything. Europe is the proof that UBI is like pipe dream. It's something that it's a nice acronym that these tech CEOs throw as a kind of, don't worry, we have a pill. It's called UBI. But they say, don't look in Europe. Don't look at Europe because it doesn't.
Well, don't even look at Israel in the 1970s. They did a communist version of that where it only lasted one generation. And then even Canada has tried pilot projects. And it's like, well, that's great. You showcased it works in a tiny community, but that's not the basis for your entire economy. I'm actually looking into UBO, Universal Basic Ownership, which essentially gives babies an investment portfolio when they're born, and that investment portfolio grows over 18 years that then they can use, just leave, keep on that way. I really do think we do need a solution, but I want people to keep working. I want people to keep striving for better. And I think when you hand people money, they're just going to sit and do nothing. They don't want to do things if you don't give them the fire under their butt that they have to. And we have so much coming up. So much. Sorry, go ahead.
But it's a little bit like AI. Huh? It's a multiplier. Personality, right? Lazy people get lazier, and people who want to learn things, who want to get better and or build stuff, they will then use that. And we see that with UBI in Europe. It's technically not everybody gets this amount of money. You are jobless, right? If you are jobless, then you can get a little bit of money from the government to pay for groceries, stuff like that. But you see the people who could work but it's so much easier, right, to watch TV, go to the cafe with friends, and then go and walk once a week and collect your thing, even though it's like a little bit shameful because they are in front of we know the place where people get the money from the government, but they don't care. Don't care about that.
Yeah, we have that kind of here as well. We have a welfare system. Like, I don't like it myself. Because I went away from my job and tried to build a company. We have what's called employment insurance. So I've been paying into a bucket for my entire career to make sure that if I lose my job or I do something stupid like this, that I'm safe. Like I'm protected. Like I get that money back to help me support me until I can find something better. And I'm on that, and actually pains me to take that money. Like I know it's my own safety net. I paid into it. It pains me to take it because I'm like, I don't need it, but I do. It's so bad. It's like a catch-22. But yeah, I just hope people out there really start looking into how to better themselves as opposed to just letting themselves rot, not learning. I feel like this. Do you think the schooling system is problematic because of that? I feel like we don't teach how to learn anymore. We just teach the things we need to know.
It depends on the subject, but again, most of what modern education teaching compliance, teaching people to be able to down for a full day, right? That's basically what they are taught. Right? Now, there's a little bit also. It also depends on the parents, right? What do the parents do for extracurricular activity? And and then again, there's also some genetics. Like I see it with my 2 daughters, a 19-year-old, a 17-year-old. They have completely different paths at school, right? Completely different. And one is much more self-confident and curious. And so she's doing much better at school the other ever did. And the problem also is homeschool, the elder one, because at one point we realized the schooling system actually impedes on her development. Right?
Yeah.
We tried homeschooling her, but even then couldn't find a good solution. She needs much more one-on-one support, personal support. Versus
AI is coming. AI is coming, people. This is one of the things that I'm most excited for is AI in education. Having personalized teachers for each person, because I was like your one daughter, like I was curious. I wanted to learn more. I was disruptive, but thankfully my teachers understood that I was a good student. And even though I was disruptive, they knew how to handle me. This was back when we had smaller class sizes. They could handle me by like making me walk the hallways, do something that like didn't disrupt the rest of the class, but they knew I wanted to learn. I was learning and I was doing I was trying to figure things out. But then my brother is the other side of it where he just got in trouble, did nothing, didn't really want to sit in class. But I emphasize that point. We're not meant to sit in one spot all day, every day, and do the exact same thing over and over again. That's what a machine is for. I think so much that we've come to this revolution of AI where we're now going to hopefully see the benefits of it. It just sucks for all the generations that grew up without it. This is a good point to leave off on. I just want to ask I want to ask you, what are some good podcasts that people should be looking into to kind of understand and work towards something better?
Yeah, so on the AI side, really artificial intelligence show with Paul Reitz and Micah Put is a good one. Another one that's good as well is AI Explored, Michael Stelzner. And I'm an avid podcast listener. I think I listen to more than 10 hours per week podcast. I don't remember how many days my podcast. You've listened to so many days, like half a year of podcast continuously.
You're a podcast, obviously.
Yeah, if you are a solopreneur on a Mac, yeah, you could listen to Macpreneur. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's probably more than enough, just enough to give people insight and really kind of figure this out. I think we need more information out there as much as people don't want to listen to coming. It's not going anywhere. If you can build it in your basement, it's certainly not going anywhere. So I just hope people at least get curious about it. Even if they're not touching it, just listen to people who are exploring it, showcasing it, and trying to explain it better. I think it helps. So who are you? Where can people find you? And anything else you want to leave off on?
Yes, I'm Damien Schreurs. I'm the host of the Macpreneur podcast and owner of EasyTECH. And they can find me on LinkedIn. Yes, we'll put a link in the show notes. I'm the only Damien Schreurs. It's nice. I have very good SEO with that last name.
That's why I had to take a moniker. I'm Cody Johnston. That's a lot of people that name.
I Googled you before. It's like, oh, no, not that one, not that one.
Yep. That's why I came up with the weird Canadian. Thankfully, I own it across the board. But yeah, it did help in my trolling days. When I was trying to hide, it was to hide behind. But yeah. And I'll make sure everything's in show notes down below. To everybody out there, please comment, subscribe, share everything I'm supposed to tell you. And please reach out if you want anything, especially if you want to partner with me, please. And yeah, to everybody out there, thank you.